Federal government should restructure the country to avoid another civil war, says Gowon. Former Nigeria head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, has advised the federal government to restructure the country to avert another civil war. Ibere TV reports. General Yakubu Gowon, retired, who ruled between 1966 and 1975, spoke at a conference organized by Uzuko Umana and Ndigbo Lagos, in collaboration with civil society organizations in Lagos, to mark 50 years of the end of the civil war in Nigeria with the theme Never Again, Nigerian Civil War 50 years after. Gowon, who was the head of state during the period of the war, maintained that at the time the war was inevitable. Gowon, who was represented at the occasion, emphasized that despite the end of civil war 50 years ago, it still remained a reference point in the country's political discourse. He noted that the war posed the greatest threat to the territorial integrity and unity of Nigeria and its promising multi-ethnic federation. He stressed the importance of creating enabling platforms for dialogue on how the country's citizens could live together in peace and harmony. As Nigeria cannot survive another civil war, he declared that it was only in a peaceful atmosphere that Nigeria could witness stability in its policies, economy, security, and development in all spheres, and called on all and sundry to ensure the country averted another civil war. He said our commitment to Nigeria must be total and patriotic. To me, a Nigeria of today of over 500 ethnic groups of diverse social, cultural and religious correlations and spread across 774 local government areas and the Federal Capital Territory (FCT) is worthy of your support and defense, he said. In his remarks, Senator Banji Akintoye, the co-chairman of the event, expressed the fears that the country mood among Nigerians was similar to that of 1966 when the war broke out, stressing that the nation's affairs were being unfairly managed by a section of the country. He said, there seems to be an agenda being pursued to establish this minority in all positions of command in the executive, administrative, judicial, and security services of our country. The voices of the minority register protest continually and are continually disrespected and ignored. The state of our law is patiently being submerged to the needs of that agenda, with seriously damaging effects on human rights. These situations are inevitably fostering among the peoples of the Middle Belt and south of our country the feeling that they are being reduced to the status of conquered people of Nigeria. Wow, it seems that everybody is almost speaking, the same language. Everybody is almost speaking the same language. And again, I, at times I try to differ. At times, maybe I try to look at things holistically, to be more objective and to be open-minded. Of course, like I always say, when you talk about a marginalization, it's into different folds in my own definition and from the angle which I see it. When you talk about marginalization, we have two different types of marginalization. The first one is from the elite position and from the masses position. And most of the people who are always coming out to talk about the marginalization, majority of them are politicians. And they are always talking about, when appointment is being given, they talk about federal character. I think that is the most important thing, that is really more important to them. Once they get whatever they want to get, they don't say anything. Like those ones, okay, let's talk from the southwest. They are getting the appointment as at, to a very reasonable level. But are they really talking about the conditions of the people? Once somebody talks about the southeast, they are not they are not bringing them together, or they are not giving them appointments as it's expected the government to do. But it goes beyond that. What about their people? Honestly, if you go the list people who don't even get this appointment are the Southeast. And yet, go and check their people. Of course, we know that there's poverty all over the place. Everybody is complaining. But to a very large extent, those guys are doing very well. Their people are doing very well, but it can be better because of their self, the way they have already brought themselves up. I think maybe that's why it's really like that. Okay, let's now talk about the people who we think that they have been getting the position, they've been getting appointments, they've been, getting the position of the president. It's really been fair to them. Go and check their people. It's a different ball game entirely. Other regions, their masses are doing quite well compared to that region, that they get all manner of appointments. The local government, is something else. What goes back to them, the allocation to their local governments and all of that. It goes beyond that. Was it not yesterday when this man was talking about the literacy in the north? It's not even limited to the people on the street. It's not limited to the masses. It's even to the people who are even representing them on the floor of the Senate, that they cannot even express themselves. It's as bad as that. Then you now ask yourself, with all of these things, what have they achieved? With all of that, what have they achieved? That's by the wayside. But the other side is that the restructuring, in my opinion, will still make things to go on fine, because there will be now competition. Because a lot of all those governors who are there, who don't even reason on how to, make things happen, to make things work, they always go there to go and get their allocation. That is all they are concerned about. It's evident. We can see it all over the place. We can see it. Even countries that are not really up to us, they are doing better. It is this greed. It is this selfishness. It is this, all manner of things. Personal interest. That is what is killing us the more. The hatred is there. And those who feel that they are opportune to get or to be at the end of affair, they are not even doing, they are making matter worse right from time immemorial. It didn't just start now. But because Nigerians were tired before now, and thinking that this person coming, the new government coming in, be able to change the narratives, because that was what was sold to Nigerians. Nigerians were tired. They were tired before. And that is why you see that people are even complaining. But even the complaints now, they try to make them not to even being able to voice their, to let their voice be heard. They just want to manipulate them. But even at that, Nigerians are still struggling that you can't carpet us. You can't box us. We have suffered enough. So now the people who didn't see the need for restructuring, they are beginning to see the need for restructuring. And do you know the reason why the whole thing is now complicated? Since you don't want Nigeria to move forward, because you are not doing anything to make Nigeria move forward. I'm talking about the leaders. You don't want Nigeria to move forward. You are just singing rhetorics. You are just boboing everybody. Oh, one Nigeria, one Nigeria. We are not seeing that. We have been on this for a very long time. We have not achieved any results. Now, people are clamoring for restructuring. They don't still want restructuring. They don't want to even go, in the line of restructuring. Then some people just came and say, since you are not doing the needful. Secondly, restructuring is not there. Then the best bet is to break up. Whether that is the language they will understand. That is the language they will understand. And according to what Gowon is saying, to avoid any catastrophe that happened before in late 60s, to avoid that they should go for restructuring. There are some people are just trying to soft pedal. It's not really by until you come together, because our being together has not yielded any meaningful results. It hasn't yielded any meaningful results. If you are doing something over and over again and you are not getting results, courtesy demands or common sense says, you need to change strategy. But no, these people say no, they don't want to change strategy. Like I always say, when you think that some people are marginalizing or some people are getting opportunities to be at the end of affair, they don't work in isolation. I think people should get that. They don't work in isolation. Your own people are part of the people who are making things not to work fine in this country. Okay, let us even bring it down to each state. All of them, they have a lot of allocations, accrued to them. They have opportunity to be able to make things happen in their various states, but they are not doing it. The marginalization is across board. And all these politicians, they are working together. And I have said it before again, that we have two categories of people, two main categories of people: the elite, the politicians. I don't even want to say elite, because the politicians and the masses. And since we have that those major groups, two major groups, then they still have a subgroups that fall into all those two major groups. So everybody now knows where it belongs to, whether you belong to the part of the politicians because you want to get the crumbs that is falling from the table from them, or you are part of the masses genuinely, you are patriotic genuinely. We are not talking about this fake patriotism they are selling here and there, because we know that it is, it's deceit. So in my opinion, let everybody go back to the drawing board. Let us see what will work for us, because what we have now is not just working unless we are just deceiving ourselves. Unless we are deceiving ourselves, and that is just the truth of the matter. And someone says yes, that yes, sir, God, good talk, but that is not the issue at this point in time. Nigerians are hungry. They are being faced by insecurity of lives and properties on a daily basis. The roads are bad, near to non electricity supplies, and low standard of education across all the educational institutions. I think this should be the issues. It is my belief that the president is so occupied with how to deal with all this to make the country better rather than thinking of restructuring. So, sir, channel your little energy that is left to help the president achieve this instead of dancing to the tune of Biafrans and their controversies. By the way, the North is not afraid of any civil war. People that might be calling for war, they can only say much about their level of preparations, but certainly less of the other party. That's what this person is talking about. Someone say, was it not regional government we were practicing before the war? What did why did not economy go to the eastern? I don't understand what this person is saying. Where when there is no war, there will be no freedom. Nigeria should give Biafra their state in peace. Why is it that an average northern person, especially Fulani and Hausa, does not want to hear the disintegration of Nigeria? And the other one person was talking then that that made comments saying that what we need is food, is this and that. So for the past 5 years, those what we are experiencing, the hunger we are experiencing now, is not as high before this present government came in. They said they can do it. According to what I think I know where that person is coming from, and you should know where the area that person is coming from. You are not talking about restructuring. You are talking of war. These northerners are not afraid of war. When you talk about people who are the receiving end, are the lower kidder, it is from the north. But since they love their situation, good and fine, other people do not want to go in that direction. The same people who you say they should help them to channel so that things will be okay for over 4 years. Before 2014, there was hunger in the land. Let's say the hunger was, and all these vices that person made mention should be at maybe at 40 or 30-40%, but now it has gotten to 80% by since this government came in. They said they have all it takes to make things work, but now they have made things to be worse, and they are doing things their own way. Is that the person that you want to help? Since they know that they have the power or they have all it takes to make things work in Nigeria, and they couldn't do it, and people are looking at them, the best thing is to disintegrate or to restructure. Because as it is now, they spent close to 5 years now. What have we achieved? The same stories. Things are getting worse, worse, worse. So their destiny is in their hands. When if they really want things to go the way it ought to. Some people will say, just take us back to where we were coming from. I think that would have been the best, because where we are now is even worse than where we were coming from, because of this change and all of that. Because all of these things they are playing is about nepotism and politics of bitterness. That is just what is there. And they are just there, to mark time. And before you know, they are gone. If you think that there's anything that is going to come out, in this present administration, it will be, it's going to be tough, because in 4-5 years is already gone. 4-5 years is already gone. Unless there's going to be a miracle, unless they're going to change their ways. On that note, yes, things can be better. So I wouldn't want to say much, guys. I would like to hear from you what you think about what a Gowon is saying, that federal government should restructure the country to to avoid another civil war. But somebody was asking a question that, was it not the same regional government that we were running before the war? Then what happened? That's a big question. So guys, let's hear your own take concerning this issue. Thank you very much. Bye.